Hey guys, Varuna here. Welcome to World Cup Interviews, the best place to get insight to the competitive scene of Horus Heresy Legions. Please introduce yourself, tell us what region you represent, and what's the story behind your username.
So my name is Bside. I represent Germany. And the story behind my name is, I'm a scientist by nature, and it used to be B-side of science, but that's way long. That used to be my nickname for some things. And then I just shortened it to B-side when I started. I'm very happy because 5 letters are way better than like 13 or whatever.
Who are your teammates and how long have you known them?
So my teammates are Mr. Midnight and Konstantin Valdor. I only met Mr. Midnight after the team was made, but before I matched up with him a couple of times on ladder. And Konstantin is like me in masterclass, so I met him through there, and we had some voice calls before. Actually, it was one of the reasons that he signed up. I thought, okay, I'll also try to sign up for Team Germany. Good, because we actually were only 3 people properly signing up in the end. But I got to know both of them much better within the World Cup. So
What's been your experience playing card games prior to Horus Heresy Legions?
I played some like app card games, but nothing particular, just for fun. And when I was like a teenager, I played Magic the Gathering, and I played I think a Star Trek CCG. That was actually a lot of fun when I was maybe 12, 13. But since then I don't know, I quit at 15 or something like that, and I didn't really play any card games after that, apart from the few on the app. And then Horus Heresy Legion, somehow it's a lot of fun, I find.
Who are the 3 warlords you chose for the World Cup?
So I chose Vulcan, Perturabo, and Ahriman. So Vulcan has been kind of my favorite warlord since a very long time. I think it was the first time I ever got into the top 50, right? And Perturabo and Ahriman are just very strong, and they have a little bit of a different playstyle. So Perturabo is pretty aggressive, and Ahriman has its own playstyle with troops, but giving them precog to protect them. And yeah, I had some experience with Perturabo, not that much with Ahriman, but it worked really well before the World Cup. And then obviously there was a lot of discussion within the team. So I had some favorites among those 3 were among them. The other guys also had some favorites, and we talked about it a little bit, and then came to the conclusion, yeah, this is something that could work, and that's why I chose them.
How are you and your team doing overall? Do you have any regrets?
Yeah, I have some regrets, but also, first of all, how are we doing overall? We're doing overall pretty well. So I would say we're in the group of death. So there's 2 groups, one with 9 teams, one with 8 teams. We're in the one with 9, which already makes it tougher to get into 4 just by numbers. And then we have a group that has very, very strong teams, I think. No offense against the group B teams, but I think both France and Asia are just like really competitive teams. And then obviously Australia with also 2 War Masters. Oh no, 3 actually. All of them have a War Master card pack. So they're obviously really strong. And the other teams are actually also very strong. Even teams such as the Isles, which are ranked last right now, have like really, really, really good players. So it's just a very competitive group. So we are currently second, but only because we played that one match more. In a real setting, we are fourth, and hopefully we can defend that. And some regrets, yeah. For example, there were a couple of matches I could have won 1 game more at least. I think the most memorable was the one against Roberts Moon, who's a really excellent player, but he just completely outplayed me for 3 games. Was a bit lucky, but still, he beat me 3-0, and I think I could have won at least 1. And the weird thing is that these small points in the current system really matter. So if you win 1 more game or not, it might matter at the end or not. Let's see.
Who do you consider to be your rivals in the World Cup?
So I think our main rivals at the current point are actually the Middle Europe and Balkans, because they're the kind of other main competitor for the 4th spot in our group. And yeah, I don't know. In general, we beat them already. We also beat Australia, and we'll still face France. But I would say we lost against Asia, as I said. They're the other team that's really high up. And yeah, so I would say Middle Europe, Balkans are our main competitors. Hopefully we go on, and then we see probably we're going to be against the Nordics, and that will be hopefully a good match.
What's the biggest lesson you've learned competing so far?
Well, maybe it's very different from ladder. So I've been used to playing ladder and I was pretty successful there, but it's very different to play in a tournament like this where you always see three different warlords. You have to adjust your deck against three matchups and they're all a little bit out of the box matchups usually. So they're not what you see usually on ladder and you have to go through it a little bit. So training really does matter for that. Whereas ladder is kind of statistics in a way. This is really like be on point and play your best for three matches.
Which warlords have you struggled the most against in the World Cup?
That's a good question. Like I think maybe the warlords that have some stealth options. So I played against the Icona and that was Rubbersmund Icona. So maybe something along those lines that in general stealth warlords have been a little bit of a problem because you need to actually tech for them. So it gives you a little bit more randomness in the deck. So you can build a pretty consistent deck also for the matchups, but you will never have 10 cards that are good against stealth. So you'll have maybe 4 or 6 cards at most. And if those are on the bottom of your deck, then you're just a little screwed.
What are your thoughts on the current balance of the game? What would you nerf or buff?
So in ladder, I think knights are actually still very much overpowered. And newest expansion, there's some cards that are quite overpowered. It starts with all the Solar Auxilia. It's a really nice concept because they have a lot of synergy with each other, but it's overdone a little bit. I wish actually there would be more things like it, but a bit weaker. So, if, for example, Chaos has a similar thing, but it just doesn't have the synergy. For example, the strategic resources, I think that's what the card is called, pull 2 infantry and give them +1, and if they're Solar Auxilia, reduce their cost. It's just overpowered. It's a too strong card. You find it in every deck even. Agents of the Sigillite were very strong, but now the meta has changed a bit, so they're not as strong. So I would say biggest nerfs needed are Knight and some of the Solar Auxilia. I'm a big Salamanders fan, and I think they, as many other legions that are older from the first 2 expansions, or from the base set and the first expansion, need a little bit of a buff again.
Who is your favorite warlord to play, and who is the warlord you hate fighting against the most?
I think there's so Vulcan is my favorite warlord to play because I don't like it. And then I have this very devilish liking of knights, not just to win, but I think it's it's a bit mathematical. You always have a lot of AoE, but it's just one damage here, one damage there, and you need to calculate a little bit through in your head. You have many more parameters, and that's fun. And then they're, as I said, overpowered, so you win a lot. So that's also fun. The warlord I've hate fighting against, it's all the Alpha Legion things. I just don't dislike all the stunts and the unattractive playstyle they have, because especially if there's a lot of traits involved, sometimes you just don't play that much.
What would you like to see added to the game next?
Well, maybe actually something similar to the Solar Auxilia for Mechanicals. That a ball, like a bit of, as I said, Solar Auxilia is a bit strong, but something along those lines that you have a real synergy team for another neutral faction.
Would you like to do a shout out to any players?
Yeah, long list. So first, shout out to my team. They're great. Mr. Midnight and they're really great guys. Then Belgard is always fun. I've known him both for a long time now, and we always have nice calls. It's fun and it's a little bit competition. Like last season, we kind of very late decided we tried to push for top 10, both of us. We did manage, which was a little bit insane, but it was fun. Then also big shout out to GMAT, who is newer member of the community, as I only got from your interview. I thought he was way longer, but it's always very nice to have kind of not game theoretical, that's the wrong word, but on theory of HHL discussion is very wise. And then maybe also shout out to Pirate Lahai, who's our chapter master or big boss of the community and always keeps everything running there and is very supportive. So maybe that's it. There's a lot of other people I could do a shout out to, but that's it.
Any social media accounts you'd like to share with the audience?
Not really, but I do like all the content creators. So, for example, I think Vapik's stream is one of the more well-known, and Belgard also has a stream where I also commented on some games from World Cup with him. Yeah, so it's more other people.
All right, thanks for the interview and best of luck in the World Cup.
Thanks a lot, man. We need it.